joining us today. My name is Kerry Langford-Rotten and my pronouns are she, her. I am a allied health professional lead in MPFT and I'm an occupational therapist by trade, specialising in mental health and older people. I've worked for MPFT in its many guises for 20 plus years, and I'm really pleased to be here today to talk to you about occupational therapy and the services that we offer. So Midlands Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust, we provide a range of services across our physical, mental health, learning disabilities and adult social care services in Staffordshire, Stoke-on-Trent, Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin. In addition, we also provide services on a wider regional and national basis, including perinatal, eating disorders, prisons, forensic services and many more. It's quite vast. Next slide, please. The occupational therapy provision is across many portfolios in a range of multidisciplinary teams or core occupational therapy teams. And as you would expect, occupational therapy aims to assist people, empower people of all ages to achieve health and well-being through improving their ability to carry out the everyday activities that they need or choose to do in their daily lives. Slide, please. I'm not going to go through each of these areas, but this is just to give you a flavour of all the areas that you could work as an occupational therapist within our organisation. So there's a whole host of services there for you to look back on when you get the slides. In addition to that, we have different career pathways for occupational therapists. So we have OTs working in our corporate services, and we have occupational therapists working in our professional lead roles. You've got 3 of us on the call today. So there's lots and lots of opportunities for occupational therapists and our support workforce across our portfolios. Next slide, please. Just to kind of give you an idea of how our organisation is structured, we're, as I've said, a really large organisation that cover lots of different services around our populations, and we organise that in our care group structures. So we have our specialist, our children's and families, Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, and Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin. And we're going to give you a little bit of detail on each of those care groups later on in the presentation. Slide, please. I'm going to talk a little bit about rotational posts, CPD and preceptorship next. Slide, please. Thank you. We have a range of occupational therapy rotational posts, typically for our newly qualified or our band 5s. So we have our Shropshire system-wide rotation, really exciting to be working across MPFT and our system providers. We have our mental health rotation in Shropshire and in Staffordshire. We have Staffordshire children and families, and we have our physical health rehabilitation up in the north there at the Hayward Hospital and in our community service portfolios as well. Next slide, please. CPD and what we offer at MPFT. We have a range of specialist experts across our occupational therapists that offer bespoke training across the organisation. So we utilise our in-house talent and our skills that we grow within our services. We have an excellent training perspective and outsource training needs to meet development needs, and that's really accessible. We are really renowned for developing our AHPs and nurses across the organisation. We have lots of AHP research roles, a fantastic research department that supports clinicians to lead their own research, and get involved in many different layers of research to demonstrate and evidence base the outcomes of our professions. And we are very proud to be a university teaching organisation, partners with Keele University, and this again brings itself many opportunities. Next slide, please. So thinking about it being a bit more individualised, we have a CPD fund for each of our professional OT professions that you can access to support your career and development. So through your appraisal conversations, if there's specific training needs that's been identified, those are supported and funded. We have regular career conversations across all of our portfolios so that we could tailor some of that learning and development.
You're on mute, Kerry.
Loves to do that to you sometimes, doesn't it? Just pop me on mute. It's heard enough of me. We have robust supervision structures for all our OTs and our occupational therapy support staff, and a competencies framework to support our development and career journeys. And we are national trainers for the Allen Cognitive Level Model, supporting OTs with the right skills to enable them, to enable those with cognitive impairment. Next slide, please. We offer a really good preceptorship and beyond preceptorship programme. We've partnered with Oxley's NHS Trust for this programme, and it supports our newly qualified allied health professionals. It supports the transition from student to autonomous practitioner. It complements your profession-specific preceptorship programme. So as an occupational therapist, that would be tailored to the service and to your development needs. And we also offer a beyond preceptorship programme that supports your further development. So for those that are going from band 5s to band 6. And we've got some links there that you can have a look at in your own time for some more information. Slide, please. Just a little bit about occupational therapy assistance and career pathways right through the Agenda for Change bandings. We have our support staff and our occupational therapists that work together to assess, diagnose and treat people across our physical, mental and social care. They also support people to adjust their lifestyles and find new ways of doing things to achieve their full potential. As an organisation, we are really passionate about growing our own workforce. We have really good opportunities for occupational therapy apprenticeship roles. And this is just an example of a career pathway that you could take within MPFT. So from healthcare support worker band 2 role into an occupational therapy assistant role, occupational therapy assistant practitioner role, newly qualified band 5 and band 6, and developing into advanced clinical practitioner band 7. And then, as I said earlier, there are leadership roles and consultant roles for occupational therapists. So that's just an example. And again, we've got our website that can give you some lovely case studies about people's career journeys that you can look at in a bit more detail. I'm going to hand over now to Bryony to talk about children's and families.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Bryony and I work in the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services. I've been there for a number of years and we've got a growing OT workforce, which we're really excited about. And I'm also here representing our paediatric occupational therapy colleagues as well this evening. So I'm going to share a bit about both. I don't know if you want to move on to the next slide. I can talk a bit about that. So yeah, so we work as OTs and we work as OT assistants, and we've got OT apprenticeships as well now within our team. In our physical health team, which we call paediatric OT, there are a number of OTs in each locality working together. And then I'll explain a little bit more actually in the next slide. And then we've got a mental health team is CAMHS based, but we have a number of specialty teams within that, within the mental health teams. And like it says on the slide, our main aim is around meaningful and purposeful activity for young people. We work from 0 to 19 generally within children's services. Can I have the next slide, please? So our paediatric OTs, our children's OTs, they are work across, based from clinics, but they go into schools, they go into nurseries, and they work from home. And then in the CAMHS services, we have core, which is our core CAMHS teams, and we have OTs in most of our localities now, and we have got some vacancies. We have OTs in our intensive support team, that's sort of outreach and preventing young people from admission to tier 4 hospital beds. We have an OT team within our autism service, and that's for assessment and intervention. We have OTs in our learning disabilities team. Again, this is children's. I think Hannah might be here today as well to help answer questions if anybody's got any later on. Again, a growing team. Our early years service, we have a vacancy, hopefully coming up soon. So that's really exciting. So our early years team work with families predominantly between the ages of 2 to 4. And actually also there's a bit of crossover with perinatal who come under a different area. And then we have our eating disorder service, again, another growing team. Our single point of access is for our referrals for CAMHS. That's where all our referrals come in together. And we have got occupational therapists working there. Now we have OTs working in each of these teams. Sometimes they are under sort of the generic title CAMHS practitioners. And I think that's important to say because we are trying to get a growing OT workforce, and we very much encourage people to work within their professional occupational therapy skills within the generic title of CAMHS practitioner. But if you're looking out for roles in these areas, please look out for CAMHS practitioner roles as well as occupational therapy, because if you read down, that's what we're really trying to encourage into our area of working. Could I have the next slide, please? So it's I might be biased, but I think it's a brilliant, children and families is a brilliant service to work for, and occupational therapists both in paediatrics and in the CAMHS teams, specialist CAMHS teams, is really highly valued. I think one of our consultants described us as the most valuable player, the MVP of all of the teams, really most valuable player. They're a rugby player. So you can just tell how valued we are as OTs, and we get every day's different, every child's different, every family's different. We get to work, like I say, in schools, in homes, at the clinic, in lots of different ways. I don't know if you've got time to want to just read through the slides. You've got time to have a look and see what we do. If you have got questions or are interested in joining children and families, do feel free to sort of get in contact with myself or any of the other OTs in the team. I'll just speak for them. I'm sure they won't mind. We're always open for that. We have a network between us of where we meet every sort of 3 months. We have lots of students on placement. Like I say, we've got apprenticeships just growing as well, and lots of training opportunities. Yeah, so it's a great place to work. I think that's me. Oh yes, and what our people think. So here we just gathered a few bits of feedback to show you how valued we are. There you go. Thank you, everyone.
So my name's Jane, and I work in the Community Intervention Service, which is a physical health service based in Birtwood, Lichfield and Tamworth. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent Care Group, and then I'm going to just pass over to one of my colleagues to talk about the Hayward, which comes under this care group. So it's a big care group, Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent. We cover physical health, mental health and social care. We have hospitals and community services within the care group. We cover the whole, as it says on the tin, Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent. And we cover a population of 930,000 plus people of over 18-year-olds. We work across numerous pathways, as you'll see in a minute, as Hayward has got some really good links with the third sector as well. Yeah, we've got lots of great links, both within the NHS, but also across the care group. And we all work really closely together and build on everyone's specialisms and pull in everyone's knowledge to make sure we're doing the right thing for the patient at that time. So I'm just going to pass over to Marguerite and Laura, who are just going to give you a brief summary of what happens up at the Hayward, which is in the north of the county.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Welcome everyone, and thank you for letting us speak about our services. So we are based at the Hayward Hospital, and we are building our therapy portfolio across all AHPs, but we're here tonight to talk about our OT services. We are proud to say that we are award winning, so we've done a lot of work over the last few years, and we've been successful in winning awards for service improvement and development, both national and regional. And it's something we're really proud about. We like to have staff that are proactive, keen to support us in our development, but come in with fresh ideas. Both myself and Laura have been here a long time, over 20 years. So it's really nice to build our OT service, but look at bringing new staff in, having your fresh ideas from straight from uni, or coming to us as assistants and supporting you in your progression, and you know, learning from you as much as you learning from us. So the services we have at the Hayward Hospital, this encompasses different sites. So we're also based over at Bradwell Hospital, which is in Newcastle-under-Lyme. We're based in Stoke-on-Trent in Burslem. So we have discharge to assess, which is pathway 2. So that's for adults that are requiring a little bit more of rehab following an acute admission. So they come to our bed-based services, and that could be hospital or in 24-hour care facilities across North Staffs. That's quite a rapid assessment and discharge service, working with the whole of the MDT, working with your physios and the other nurses, medics. It's quite fast-paced, but it's really good about building your assessment and discharge skills. We also have our new integrated community stroke service, which is developing. So we're just about to embark on an exciting new project about developing a longer term stroke rehab model in the community. We've been lucky to source external funding again for that. So it's really exciting. And within that, we have research opportunities and project development. I'm going to pass over to Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm the lead OT on the stroke rehab unit here at the Hayward Hospital. Just a little bit about a couple of the services that we've got here then. So we've got Broadfield Rehab Unit, which is a specialist inpatient unit for adults with acquired neurological and musculoskeletal conditions or disabilities. They work predominantly with service users that are coming in from the major trauma centre at Royal Stoke University Hospital, and that encompasses people that have been admitted from out of area, from different areas locally, that are brought into that acute unit and then over to Broadfield. And then we've got the stroke rehab unit Sneed ward, which is the ward I'm on. That's a 21-bedded inpatient unit for specialist stroke rehab. We've got very much an interdisciplinary team there, where we work alongside our physio, speech and language, dietetic, nursing and medical colleagues, and psychology 2 days a week onto the ward. So yeah, we work very broadly. We sort of work out of our traditional OT roles. You know, those joint assessments are made with physios. There's a lot of role blurring and development of other skills alongside your OT specific core skills. I've been there a long time, so I must love it.
Yeah. And I think it's also, we also have amputee rehab based at the Hayward, where we have OT, and we offer work shadowing. We also link in with other services. So we're a proponent of linking in across with mental health. We've had discussions in the past about how we can share rotations and work shadowing opportunities. The rotation also includes falls and community OT. They've not been able to be here tonight, but again, it offers, our rotation offers a wide range of hospital, inpatient, community, both short-term, acute, subacute and long-term rehab. We have posts available, so we'd love for anyone to contact either myself or Laura, and we'd quite, happily offer you opportunities to come and see our services and come and join us, come work for us. Can we have next slide, please? Thank you. So again, I talked about an award-winning service. So what we've done, you can do this at a later point. We've got a YouTube video about an exciting project that we had with the third sector, which is Headway. So we now have a NHS OT and NHS physio working within the third sector. And this has opened up a wide range of opportunities for staff to be able to go and work with clients in a completely different setting than the NHS. It's been really successful. It's a year down the line. We won an award for it. But actually now what we've done is we've established a new way of working for both our NHS staff and for our patients to access core NHS practice, but not in a traditional setting. So we're really proud of that. That's us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks Marguerite, thanks Laura. So I'm going to talk now briefly about the community physical health options across Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent. It is so many opportunities within the area. Obviously it's quite a big county anyway. We tend to work in districts, so for example the Staffordshire Moorlands or Newcastle, or we might have Seasden or Burntwood, Lichfield, Tamworth. We tend to work in localities. Some areas do tend to blur across the boundaries, but there's something for everyone depending on your geography. So some of the opportunities we've got are similar to the Hayward, but are based in the community. So for discharge to assess, for example, and they're with both reopenment in the patient's home, but also for step down beds in local nursing homes. Within the local nursing homes as well, we also have the care home intensive support team, which support care homes to improve their services to their residents. It looks at supporting around this CQC aspect of care, and they look at manual handling and various other things like that to try and get the care homes as effective as possible. There are rehab teams both in the north and the south. They're called slightly different things depending on where you are, but they tend to cover the patients who have neurological conditions such as Parkinson's or stroke or MS, etc. They do have different referral criteria, so they're not quite the same across the county. So it is slightly different, and the same with the falls team, for example. It's very different, the criteria for the north to the south, but the aim's the same, is prevention of falls and educating the patient, the service user, to prevent falls. We've also got some really exciting preventative or proactive falls work and reactive falls work going on at the moment across the county, which has been really successful. And we're working with the wider system to develop a number of digital opportunities within the falls service. There's also, from a social care point of view, we have the integrated community OT teams, and these are social services, your traditional, as you would regard them, the big adaptation teams, but they do a lot more than that. Lots of working with long-term conditions and working with people for a longer period of time than many of us in the community. And they also link closely with the health OTs to look at acute exacerbations of conditions and palliative patients to support them at their end of life, as well as supporting people who are in acute phases of their illness. And also on there we've put the limb fitting service as well, which is linked in, I think, with the Hayward's amputee service. So that's the physical health service across the community. If you can go on to the next slide, please. So now just talking about the mental health, as I said, with Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, it is a really huge care group. And obviously with the hospital and the community services that we've got there, that also carries across into the mental health services that are within the care group. And so they offer a number of services within mental health, both within the community but also in the hospitals. And there's hospitals in Stafford at St George's and hospitals over in Shropshire as well for mental health at Redwoods. And work with a wide variety of people with mental illnesses, psychosis, older adults, and dementia pathways. Most of the work takes place in carers in the service user's home, but also, let's say, in the hospitals as well. There's 6 wards at St George's. They provide assessment and treatment to people who are acutely unwell, and that was with older adults as well as adults, so over 65s as well as 18 to 65s. Use a lot of models of practice are all listed there, and as Kerry had already said, we are a recognised trainer for the Allen's cognitive screen as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to develop your models of practice and to work within a variety to find which works best for you and which works best for your service user, your patient. Can I have the next slide, please? And this just gives a little bit more information regarding the services that are available. So you've got your community older adult teams, so you those dementia teams. They work really closely as well with the physical health teams. We quite often tap into their experience, and we work quite closely with them. Quite often we'll have the OTs from that team come out with us to see some of our service users to try and make sure that we've got the right people in the right place, working with those patients, so we get the best outcome for them and for the patient's family. And then obviously the other services are down there, so intensive life skills, and the acute wards at St George's, and psychosis, and the integrated mental health teams. As you know, as you can tell, I don't work in mental health, so I can't give you full detail, but Kerry is an expert in mental health. And if there's any questions about specific areas, I'm sure she'll be happy to answer them afterwards. And I think it's over to someone else now.
Thank you. Yeah, over to me now. So my name is Betsy Walker. I'm Allied Health Professional Lead for the Specialist Care Group. I'm an occupational therapist by background. So I've worked in the specialist care group for quite a few years now as the occupational therapy clinical lead, and have recently stepped into this AHP lead role, so covering a broader range of services. So could I have the next slide, please? So the specialist care group covers 4 directorates that have AHPs working into them. So and we are a collection of services that rather than perhaps sort of having a focus on a local patch, we tend to, they're services that extend into broader regions and quite often into a national coverage. So our services, our directorates in the specialist care group are the Eating Disorders Directorate. We have inpatient services at Stafford, but we also have the outpatient service at Shropshire and at Stafford. Then the Forensics Directorate, where we have the mental health low secure service in Shrewsbury in Shropshire, and a medium secure service in Stafford for mental health as well. Then we also have a learning disabilities low secure service, which is based in Stafford, and a community service which covers most of the West Midlands, and all of those link in with a regional provider collaborative. Then we have a learning disabilities directorate, where we have community services that input across Shropshire and Stafford. And finally, our inclusion service, which is the mental health and substance misuse input into regional prisons, which covers a large range of geography as well. So next slide, please. So I was just going to give you a little bit of information about each of those directorates. There's obviously information on the slides as well. So the Eating Disorders Service, as I said, the inpatients is based in Stafford, and ultimately the focus really is on helping service users to regain their identity and social inclusion. That's something that's often very much impacted by the course of the illness. There's a strong focus on rehab and supporting people to develop better relationships with food and eating, and lots of the different skills that work alongside that. And there's a a comprehensive group work programme that delivers psychoeducation, supporting people to develop skills around anxiety management, tackling perfectionism, working on body image, and many other areas. There's a strong focus on developing independence and confidence, and supporting people to engage in more positive occupations and things that are going to help move them away from some of the harmful behaviours that have been challenging for them in recent times. The Eating Disorder Service is a developing service in MPFT. It's in recent years has joined a provider collaborative, which means that there's opportunity to link in regionally with other eating disorder services. And that's seeing a real opportunity to share good practice and network with other OTs and other professionals in the area. It's seen real investment in new services recently. In the last few months, actually, there's been a new programme, a step-down programme, which is based in the inpatient service, but is focusing on supporting people to hopefully avoid an admission, or to fast track if needed, if the step into inpatient services is needed. Excitingly, from an OT point of view, that service is actually led by an OT. So they've designed the programme, designed all of the outcome measures and the way that that's delivered, and are leading that. And the next phase of that development will hopefully be a Band 5 OT role that will be working alongside the OT there. Okay, next slide, please. So then the next directorate is the forensic services. So this covers the low and medium secure services and community services. Forensic services is the service that's provided for people when they're having mental health difficulties, but that there's also presenting risk to, generally speaking, to the public, and that risk needs to be managed. One of the challenges for us in this area is that admissions are typically fairly long, often months and even stretching into years, which can really impact on people's ability to engage in occupations that are meaningful to them, and creates a real challenge for us as OTs in terms of needing to work really creatively to offer something that's individual to people when a lot of things that they might want to be doing are quite restricted. But the length of stay that people have with us can also offer us opportunities as OTs. It really gives us the chance to work for a long period of time with people, to follow the whole OT process, review, repeat, and continue to work towards people's individual recovery goals. Also, perhaps useful to know that the forensic services people tend to come to us from prison, sometimes custody, often other secure hospitals as a step down, or from other mental health services. And generally speaking, people will be detained and often subject to the Ministry of Justice restrictions as well. So in terms of OTs, we offer lots of things in these settings, but I think one of the things that we're really proud of is that we've worked really hard over recent years to embed the Vernon du Toit model of creative ability. So we've established really good links with the UK Foundation for the model, and a number of the OTs are currently doing advanced training in this at the moment. But all OTs that come to the service, right through from support staff to all levels of experienced OTs, are given the opportunity to train in this model, and we're able to really support each other now with how we put that into practice. And that's something that's really embedded and valued by the multidisciplinary team as a whole, and we're increasingly seeing really good outcomes as a result of that. Another area of practice that we're really developing and really excited about is the use and application of the sensory integration approach. We've recently been able to secure an advanced OT with advanced training in that approach, and are developing our resources with new sensory rooms and other resources being planned. So some really good developments in that area. And I think now I'm handing over to Heather to talk a little bit about learning disabilities.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Betsy. So my name's Heather Mishra. I'm one of the OTs that work in the South Staff's community learning disability team. So I just wanted to bob on and talk about that in a bit more detail. So thank you very much for including me. So I just wanted to say that we offer services to individuals with learning disabilities where they're not able to perhaps access usual services. So it does mean that our service is quite niche, it's quite specialist. We offer often individuals with a learning disability have that difficulty expressing their needs. Therefore, assessments can be quite complex when you're trying to determine and best support that individual. So within our team, MDT work is very crucial. Joined up supported approaches are something that we do on a day-to-day regular basis. So as an OT within learning disability services, we can offer that specialised lens into looking at the individual's unique skills. And we use a variety of different assessment tools, including the PALS, LACLs, AMPS, sensory integration, MoHost, OSA, interest checklists, and so on. And we also offer a role in helping to assess and diagnose individuals with a learning disability for autism and dementia. So that's really interesting as well. Our service has always been fully supported by management to progress and to develop new innovative strategies. So at the moment we're quite excited because we're trying to source a bit of an eco-sensory outdoor space to do some sensory integration therapy outdoors. We're also completing some training in sensory motor art therapy, and we're hoping that this can support the trauma pathway as well, because we do a lot of trauma-informed work and intervention as well. And we also work alongside social care colleagues. There's been a few different pieces of assistive technology that we're trying to get in place to promote independence. One thing I just wanted to say is that often when people think of learning disabilities, you can sort of be put off a little bit when it's associated with challenging behaviour. And I just wanted to reiterate that, yes, our service users, they do have those periods of distress, which is understandable because of their complex needs. But actually one of our core values within the learning disability team is that we always believe that there's a reason behind somebody's distress. And we do our best to support that individual with that. And I think this also shines through within the team. We're a very open, friendly team, non-judgmental, and I think a lot of the clinicians hold that sort of non-judgmental, open-minded core value themselves. And I can say for myself that everybody treats each other with the utmost respect, and it's one of the most friendliest teams I've worked in. For individuals that do have that sort of distress behaviour, you can be reassured because they have clear, really robust, thorough risk assessments in place. And as I was saying before, it is sort of an MDT approach, so you're all working together to support that individual. And I can say as well that this is one of the best teams I've worked for, that sort of puts our own mental health and well-being on a pedestal, really, and we're really looked after. So us as OTs within learning disabilities, we do truly empower advocacy for individuals with learning disabilities through our specialist assessments that we're able to do, and looking at it from a holistic point of view with the other members of the team. I know when I first joined the team, I had to sort of revisit some of those core OT skills that I learned at university, as though it's sort of tapping into those raw principles of our profession, which is really, really nice. So yeah, we're always welcome. We have got a vacancy at the moment. So we're always welcome for discussions, and if anybody wants to come and visit, you'd be more than welcome. Again, it is a band 5 vacancy, and I know it can be a bit daunting going into quite a specialised area, but I can assure you that that support, that full support will be given to develop your skills in this specialist area. And then I've just got a few comments that I wanted to read out from people who work with myself and the team. So one of the nurses said that we're really welcoming and we're fun. We do lots of social activities. And like I say, we're quite open-minded and we all support each other. Please come and join us. That's from one of the nurses. A student has commented saying that they really enjoyed doing some one-to-one sensory integration therapy in the sensory room, and that they found OT to be quite an interesting area. One of our psychiatrists said, I love working with OTs. I particularly appreciate the perspective you put on patient care during dementia reviews, and the empowerment you give to patients and their carers with your skills in sensory assessments. And then just one more from a healthcare support worker. The passion that every single member of the team demonstrates towards helping people with learning disabilities is fantastic. Working as an MDT means that knowledge, experience and thoughts are shared amongst everybody involved, so you're not alone. That you may have the support from other members of the team, and that the client involved gets the best possible person-centred support and care that they can. Even if you're having a wobble or just need to chat and get things off your chest, there's always somebody around. The client's family and care team are always so grateful for the support that the community learning disability team provide, and we do make a difference. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. And then just quickly, a last few points from me about the inclusion services. So these are the services that MPFT inputs into prisons, and this is one of our regional services. So we are working into prisons from Yorkshire, several in the West Midlands, but right down to the Isle of Wight and everything in between. It's perhaps worth mentioning that occupational therapy input into prisons is a relatively new area of practice. So it's quite emerging, it's quite an exciting area to work, and we have a number of OTs that are working in our prisons that are really embracing that and forming quite a strong network, linking in with a regional network of other OTs that are working in prisons and sharing good practice, and are keen to really look at developing the evidence base. As you can imagine, working as an OT in a prison is not without its challenges. It's a restrictive environment, and lots of the things that you might ordinarily expect to be able to use won't be available to go into the prison. So it requires a really creative approach and lots of problem solving, which we know OTs are more than able to rise to that challenge. As a service, the focus is around providing mental health and substance misuse services, and working as part of the multidisciplinary teams alongside mental health nurses, psychologists, psychiatrists, and then a number of substance misuse recovery workers. And then in terms of the sort of key areas that the OTs really focus on supporting people with around managing symptoms of mental illness and reducing risk. there's a list there of the areas that we might work on, and I suppose ultimately those things are around either preparing people for successfully moving on for their release from prison and reintegrating into the community. So that might mean supporting people to access training that will enable them to gain employment in the future, or often a lot of the skills that we might be working with people is to help them manage in the prison environment more effectively, so that they can develop skills to manage their time, to look after themselves, look after their environments, and cope with that time where things are very much living in a different environment and away from people that they might choose to be ordinarily. I think that's everything from me.
Hi there, everybody. My name's Sally Guest. I am also an allied health professions lead, but by background, I'm an occupational therapist and currently work in one of the community mental health teams. So very much feet on the ground with this one. You'll see that Shropshire is quite a big geography, and without sounding like I'm from the tourism board, we've got so much to do outside of work in Shropshire as well. It's a very creative county. There's lots of hills, lots of lovely places, lots of fresh air. So if that's floats your boat a bit, then maybe you need to think about us too. So we're a very large geographical area and footprint. We've got a diverse population with Telford as part of our care group. Our mental health services are in community and inpatient facilities, and you will find OTs in all of the bases that we have across the county, including the Redwoods, which is based in Shrewsbury, Langley School, which is in Telford, where you'll find our children's services, Oswestry, Bridgnorth, Market Drayton and Ludlow, which is very south, almost Wales, in fact. So, you know, it's very commutable from there too. And Hall Court in Telford. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly tell you a little bit about some of the services which we have current vacancies in, and some of the services that we have up and coming vacancies, I guess. We've got 3 teams that work across the county, so they're small specialist teams that work across Telford and Shropshire, which is the other bit of the county, which includes rehab. And our community rehab team is fairly new. Currently, there are 2 occupational therapy posts in that team, but that is going to look more like 5 or 6 in the next 12 months. So there's lots of opportunity there. It's very much about keeping people out of hospital, offering an alternative to long stay admission wards. And we work closely with forensic as well in those teams, and out of area providers too. Slide. Yeah. Sorry about that, I was looking at the wrong screen. The other team that works across county is the early intervention and psychosis team, and they are offered for people who've had first-time psychosis, first episode psychosis, and they work with them for a period of time before they step them down. Our integrated mental health teams are in Oswestry, Bridgnorth, Market Drayton, Ludlow, and at Sevenfields. That's our adult mental health teams, and we work with a whole range of mental health difficulties across in the different parts of the geography. There are OT posts in all of those teams, and we also have an apprenticeship route post as well that we're developing at the moment. We've also got 1 or 2 vacancies as well. The Redwoods has both dementia and older adult wards. There's 2 of those, and we've also got We've also got 3 adult acute wards at the Redwoods, and probably a little bit unique to our care group, we've got 2 occupational therapists that work in primary care. So there is opportunity in mental health. So there is opportunity to get a feel of what that might look like as a career pathway. And I guess we've also got the intensive life skills team, similar to the Staffordshire Care Group, and children's services. So in Shropshire, you get a chance to work very closely across all of the age ranges. I think that's really all I wanted to say about Shropshire, but it's a great place to work. It's a smaller care group than some of the others, so you really get to know your partners. We work very closely in the system that we're based, and have developed a rotation across mental health. And we also hold the specialist mental health rotation in-house as well. So there's opportunity to move all over the county and all sorts of specialisms. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening to our massive portfolio, all the fantastic opportunities and services that you can work as an occupational therapist across a wide geographical and clinical area. So why join us as an occupational therapist? Our teams consist of experienced occupational therapists, assistant practitioners, assistants and therapy support workers, and we provide multidisciplinary services to adults and children with a range of conditions across the different specialities. In joining our teams, you will be influential in supporting both inpatient, outpatient and community services with a strong focus on rehabilitation, education, prevention, self-management and lifestyle advice for long-term conditions. Our aim is to maximise function, prevent deterioration and ensure both safe discharge and follow-up in community with both short and longer term rehabilitation programmes, ensuring adaptation to life changes. Next slide, please. We empower our employees to actively participate in service development. We actively seek out ways to ensure our employees and patient carers' voices are listened to. You will have autonomy to be innovative, offer new ideas and invest in the future of our services. We offer ongoing continual professional development with our preceptorship programme and beyond preceptorship programme. We offer peer learning and support groups, robust education frameworks and training opportunities, a clear career pathway with regular supervision and career conversations, and opportunities to contribute to research projects and in fact lead research projects. So lots of reasons why occupational therapy would be a choice for you at MPFT. Thank you for listening. I know we've had some questions already being popped in the chat. Does anybody want to verbalise any of those, or would you like us to answer the ones in the chat? Melissa?
I'll go through the questions. We've had some really nice comments as well as questions. So Margaret and Laura, this might be good for you, the comments that we've got here. So yeah, thank you everybody for your time and listening. I'm just going to go through the questions now. So if anybody's got any questions they want to ask, please pop it in the chat box and I'll go through them now. So Hayley's put that she's hoping a position comes up on the Broadfield ward, such an amazing ward. That'd be good for you two to know. So do you know if there's any positions coming up there at the moment at all?
Yeah, we actually have got positions within our Band 5 rotation that covers across Broadfield, stroke rehab, community stroke and D2A. And obviously, again, the links to the other services falls in community OT. So yeah, please get in touch with us. Gemma, I don't know if we can share our emails.
Yeah,
and we're happy.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say after this presentation and event is finished, what we'll do is actually contact everybody that's registered. If people on here haven't registered on Eventbrite, our email address is on this presentation, so please do send us your details. We will then email you with a copy of all the latest vacancies and a questionnaire. So the arts team inbox is up on there now. So just to let you know, we will be back in touch with you. We will be asking you a questionnaire as well. So if you can complete that, and we'll let you know the list of the vacancies after this event's finished.
Yeah. And Gemma, I think it's important to say that while people are waiting, once they've finished university and they're awaiting their HCPC, we can employ people as assistant practitioners, so they can start their NHS journey with us before actually getting their registration.
Thank you for that. Lorraine would definitely be interested in SNEED rehabilitation. She's done a 10-week placement on a rehabilitation ward and loved it. So thank you for that, Lorraine. Ali wants to know if there's any opportunities in London or surrounding areas. Nobody answered that question.
I know that there is a Band 6 OT post in a new or fairly new service in Thurrock. So my London geography is not brilliant, but I think that's just on the edges of that area, that will be going live soon if it hasn't already.
That's great, thanks Betsy. Hopefully that helps, Ali. Joy had a question, but Kerry, I think you've been in the chat and answered that for Joy. Joanna wants to know.
Following that up.
Right, Joanna wants to know, do you know when the apprenticeship applications open and when the courses start? Anybody able to answer that one?
I think it might be May, the apprentices window for application.
I was
no, it's end of the year, isn't it?
I was just checking the dates because
yeah,
we have a couple, don't we? We have an intake in September and we have an intake in January. I haven't seen the applications come through for September yet. I was just having a look in my emails, comes from Wendy Hollands, but we can certainly pick up a conversation and find out more about that. I think you might have emailed me the other day, actually.
Great, thank you, Kerry. Stacey wants to know, when applying for jobs, what qualities do you look in for newly qualified candidates? Also, what can set you apart from other newly qualified applicants?
Great question. Yeah, you go, Mark.
Yeah, Laura. I just thought for us it's passion, enthusiasm. You know what I said earlier was like those fresh eyes coming in, and obviously upholding the trust values and behaviours.
That's great, thank you. Lydia, she's in a final degree of an O2 apprentice degree, currently on placements, but would love the opportunity, if possible, to do some shadowing with forensic services or inclusion services, please. Betsy, that's probably one for you.
Yeah, please drop me an email. I'm sure we'd be able to sort something out for you. It'd be great to link up with you.
Great, thank you. Just scrolling down, sorry. Okay, and Marie, to assess people within community for equipment such as purchase tools as part of existing MPFC service, do you need any specific training, please?
Just answered that. We do have a basic equipment training in-house provision, and we do that in the Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent part of the care group, and in Shropshire are different because we have different providers, so we have got that. So yes, you do need specific competencies and skill set for that. I don't know whether any of my physical health colleagues want to add to that.
I was just thinking, I've actually come from equipment training this afternoon before this presentation, so to enable us to be trusted assessors as well, so and reduce those layers of stuff that service users have to jump through sometimes to get what they need to help them function better.
Yes, also from an equipment point of view, from Band 3 upwards, we're looking at AHP passports within our portfolio, so that staff have the competencies and understanding and skills as to what equipment they're providing and reviewing and assessing with.
Great, thank you. Ben says, thanks for the events, it's been very insightful. Good to know that you feel that way, Ben. Are there any occupational therapy assistance position? Like I said, we will be sending an email around with all the open roles that we've got at the moment. Manga, hi, I work for speech and language assistant at Bentley Primary Care. My fixed term contract is ending in September. I have lots of transferring skills and assistance practitioner. Will there be any opportunities for me? Anybody?
I could just mention that I'm about to advertise 2 speech and language therapy assistant posts. So keep your eye out if that would be of interest.
That's great, thank you. Amy, are there any near Leicester opportunities? She thinks she remembers reading somewhere there might be.
We have a band 7 advanced OT post in the Derby and Leicester service that's working with probation and into approved premises. Easy to say. So that post will be going back out to advert again fairly soon, I think. So if you keep an eye out on the website, then there should be something coming up.
That's great, thanks Betsy. And Dan wants to know, he's working at the moment as a 999 call assessor. Would he have the transferable skills, presuming he would have to join as an OT assistant?
Yeah, absolutely.
We just butt in there. We recently we've interviewed 15 people for one post actually, and we had a couple of call handlers, 999 call handlers, and they're up there absolutely with the best, to be fair. Unfortunately didn't get it, but they had so many transferable skills. It was really useful to see.
Thank you, Marguerite. Laura, sorry, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, I was just responding to a question about somebody with a care certificate who has Masters in Business Science. We're also looking at new innovative roles in project management and project support officers that, you know, can work across therapy, but also help us with the administration and sort of managing. We've got multiple projects, so, you know, please get in touch. It isn't just about putting people in traditional OT roles, it's about developing skills across, but also us learning from people who probably have better skills than we have and can help teach us and organise us.
That's great, thank you. I don't know if this was the question you're referring to, but do you have positions in someone with a care certificate who currently works as a support worker and had the Masters in Business Science focusing on healthcare service quality?
Yeah, we have, Gemma, we have a lot of we have national audits that we have to support with. So obviously we have that scrutiny from national bodies. So having people that have that business expertise is really useful for us within our therapy services.
That's great, thank you. Jessica, I'm currently doing my MSc OT pre-registration course. If I do not have a placement with paediatrics, is it possible to apply a job with children's and family services? It's a real interest of mine. Is somebody, sorry, Bryony's gone now, hasn't she? Is somebody able to answer on behalf of Bryony?
Well, I guess I come from a mental health children's point of view, and it wouldn't be something that we would, you know, it would be something it wouldn't be a problem or a barrier, sorry, that's the right way to say it. And certainly we're just about to go out to advert or have an advert out for a vacancy on our rotation that is in children's mental health. So we wouldn't expect somebody to necessarily have had that opportunity to gain that level of experience. So it's all on the job stuff.
That's great, thanks, Sally. Lorraine, would you consider bank staff in rehabilitation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, and I think we're heading into winter, so we you know, we're already preparing for the super surge winter. So you know, we always recruit additional staff and use the bank to support our services.
I just echo what Marguerite has said. We in our portfolio of rehab, so that's neurology, falls and Parkinson's therapy. We're looking for a band 6 stroke skill band 5 position, but bank is a way of going about it as well. So yeah, definitely.
And I think not just qualified for support workers as well. We quite often have we've recruited many of our students onto the bank as healthcare as OT assistants, and it's been great for them because they've got extra skills for when they're applying for jobs. But it's also been brilliant for us because they know the systems as soon as they come in. So if you are a student, you've been a student with the trust, then please go onto the bank. But also if you're wanting to gain some extra experience before you qualify, it's a really good opportunity to gain something for your CV and for you to take forward for your interviews.
That's great. Thanks, Jane. Jessica wants to know, do you offer shadowing with the Children's and Family Services? Again, I don't know if anybody's been able to answer that on Bryony's behalf.
Yeah,
I think Bryony, yeah, I think, sorry, Betsy, I think she was saying basically get in touch, please. And I think that they would accommodate that. Absolutely. So yes, Jessica, I think that would be a big tick.
Great. Okay, Louise, I'm an experienced band 5 and more experience in physical health. Do you have any band 6 vacancies in Telford and Wrekin coming up? I think that's one for you, Sally.
Yeah, we have. We're just about to. I think we just closed a post actually in Telford and Wrekin, but there are posts coming up. So if you want to send us your details, then I'll certainly have a look out for you and keep you in the loop for that one.
Thanks, Sally. Hayley, regarding applying for jobs, I should hopefully qualify in May next year. When do you think I could apply for any available posts for a band 5 role?
I would say apply anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It takes 3 months normally to get people in post, so definitely 3 months lead in time, but yeah, before then. So yeah, absolutely apply.
Yeah, and I think we can offer alternative posts until people get registration. So we often encourage our students to apply quite early, and also give you a little bit of maybe taking the pressure off when you're doing your dissertation, knowing that, you know, as long as you qualify, you've got a job to go to, but you can come and work part-time hours with us.
Absolutely, and if you're the right person, they'll keep the post open. I think that's the thing. You know, it's about going for the job that you want to go for. But as Margaret said, actually taking that pressure off around your dissertation is really good as well. I know that certainly helped for a couple of my students who applied for jobs kind of around Christmas time. They knew that they got the job and they didn't have to worry then. And they went into their post in July, and the areas kept them open for them.
Thank you. I have a question for Joy. She's highly interested in becoming an OT. However, I have no experience whatsoever. I have a first class and public health degree. My question is, how do I get into this role as a new starter? What should I do? Any OT assistant roles available? Thank you.
I think there's a variety of different ways, Joy. I think you could look out for healthcare support worker roles in any of the AHP professionals, so speech and language therapy, podiatry, OT, just to kind of get your foot in the door. I think bank, so if you are open to support worker roles, applying for the bank would just get your foot in the door, and then you could look out for permanent positions from there, and then you could apply to the apprenticeship programme to be trained to be a registered occupational therapist.
Thank you, Kerry. Lorraine, I've currently been accepted for the bank as healthcare worker for Haywood. Can I get in touch with you and shadow someone, please?
Definitely. Just again, we can provide our contact details. Please get in touch.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
actually, just for the bank. So if you are on the bank, we are actually now funding work shadowing days. So I think that's something that we can share here.
Right, thank you. Jessica, you're after Bryony's email address. Yep, not a problem. We'll get in touch with you and supply her email address. That's not a problem. And somebody asking for your email address as well, Sally. We will provide all details after, so don't worry. We will give you all the details. Joy, I'm 2 years qualified with experience in community mental health. Really reassuring to hear an emphasis on the job training. It's given me the confidence to apply for areas of interest outside my current experience. Thank you. That's great to hear, Joy. Joe, sorry. Thank you so much. Mental health autism and Aldea roles, I'd love to learn more. Do you have an email address that could contact you at all? Yeah, Jessica, you can get in touch with the email address that's on screen, but again, we will be supplying all details after. Yeah, so that's just asking for contact details, which we will supply. Has anybody got any other questions that they'd like to ask? I mean, if you don't want to put it in the chat box, feel free to contact the arts team inbox that's on there. We'll come back to you as soon as we can. But has anybody got any questions before we wrap up? No? Okay, no, that's great. So all there's for me to say is thank you everybody for joining. I hope you found it informative, and hopefully we're looking to some of you joining our team and working with you more closely. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, and we'll be in touch after this presentation with more details for you. Thanks everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.